Good evening, friends, and welcome to this time of celebration and of commemoration and remembrance and reflection for Maundy Thursday. I'm Brian Marsh, pastor here at Moreland Presbyterian Church in Southeast Portland, Oregon, and I'm here in our fellowship hall this evening, the space where we normally would gather in person for our time of reflection for Maundy Thursday. We're really thankful that you are able to join us via Facebook Live or later in the evening or the week here or on YouTube. Thank you for taking time out of your week, this Holy Week, to join together with us and to remember a night unlike any other night. A night where Jesus, centuries ago, with his closest friends, gathered in an upper room to enter into an ordinary experience for them that was the means for an extraordinary presence, to celebrate Passover. Jesus entered into that space knowing that there were many layers present around that table and in that room, and so many different things that awaited him and awaited that group of friends. And yet, in the midst of that uncertainty and anxiety and wondering and possibly worrying and waiting, they took intentional time to do something that was a part of the regular rhythm of their life of spirit, life of community, a meaningful and memorable time to celebrate a supper that they had celebrated times before together and at other times growing up. And so we're thankful to have the chance to remember and to gather together in this way to celebrate on this evening, that evening. As we go through the story of this evening, want to remind you to have a couple of different items ready at hand. We will be celebrating communion tonight, as Jesus and his friends did on that night. So we invite you to have what we'll be serving as bread and cup for you this evening, to have that readily available. And we will also have a time to remember when Jesus showed another aspect and depth of divine love for his friends as he showed himself to be their servant and the servant of all by bending down and washing their feet. Not just a physical act, but also definitely a deeply symbolic and spiritual act of service and showing sacrificial love, not just to friends, but to all people. Maundy Thursday comes from the Latin word mandatum, which means commandment. And we remember on this night the new commandment that Jesus gave his friends and gave us all, to love one another as we have been loved. And so we will have a time for you to either wash each other's hands or to wash each other's feet, as Jesus did centuries ago. My Trevor is here with me, and we will wash each other's feet. But we invite you to have a bowl or a basin, a tub of water handy nearby, so that we can partake in that together simultaneously in our homes as we are gathered together here for worship. So friends, know that you are welcome, whether this is your first time with us here at Moreland or this is your regular community of faith. Know that you are welcome and free to enter into this space in the ways that you feel led, the ways that you feel comfortable, the ways that are meaningful for you. We are just a gathering of ordinary people an ordinary church, and let us now experience together an extraordinary love. We enter into our time first through a call to worship. On a night of celebration, they gathered for contemplation. At a time of recollection, they engaged in introspection. In a room of deepest relation, they entered into disorientation. The center of their world was about to become unfurled, and nothing would ever be the same. As we join them in that space above, may this be a time of grace and love for us all. Amen. And now our story begins with the White Jew family.
The day for the Passover supper had come. Jesus arrived with his disciples at the upstairs room in the Jerusalem house. Everyone was hot and dusty after trudging through the busy streets.
As the 12 argued and grumbled and laughed among themselves, Jesus looked at them with great affection. He knew them through and through with all their faults, and he loved them dearly. You know that even now Judas was looking for an opportunity to betray him to his enemies, but Jesus loved them still.
The disciples were looking around, anxious because there was no servant to wash their feet. The least important servant in the household had the job of washing the dust and sweat from the feet of guests who had walked dusty roads in open sandals. The pitcher of water and a towel lay ready, but not one of them was willing to do such a despised job. An obstinate silence fell.
Then Jesus stood up, poured some water into a basin, and picked up the towel himself. He went from one disciple to the next, washing their feet in turn. They felt very ashamed.
When at last Jesus sat down, he said, "Do you understand what I've been trying to tell you? You can call me your master and Lord, and you're right. That is what I am. Yet I am willing to do anything for you, even to wash your feet, because I love you. I want you to follow my example. Care for each other and love one another as I love you and care for you."
Thanks so much, Foy and Micah and Stuart and Claudia, for entering us into the story of this evening and for sharing with us that surprising action that Jesus took as they all gathered for the Passover celebration. Jesus, being their leader, became their servant. Jesus, the one who seemingly held the whole world in his hands, opened his hands and knelt before his friends and washed their feet in a sign of open-hearted, sacrificial love. We'd now like to give you a few moments to take that bowl or tub of water and to join with those with whom you are worshiping and sheltering with in your homes, and to wash each other's hands or feet. As you take turns washing each other, I invite you to just abide in the space. You don't have to say a word. If you would like to say a word, I invite the person who is doing the washing to give a word of encouragement, a word of affirmation to the person whom you are washing. And that could just be an expression of appreciation, of affirmation, of love. It could be a character quality that you appreciate about that person. It could be something that they have done for you that you want to express appreciation for. It could simply be to let them know that you love them. and to let them know that they are loved and they are love. So friends, we'll take a few moments now to enter into this time. And as your hands or feet are being washed, I invite you to just be silent and to be served and to receive that expression of divine love, sacrificial love, unlimited love. Let it wash over you, and may it wash over all of us. I hope we've given you time to be able to share with each other in that experience. If you are still washing and drying, feel free to continue that as we continue the story with the Lewis family.
Jesus wanted to celebrate Passover and share a meal with his disciples so they could say goodbye. By that time, many people looked up to Jesus as a great leader. This made some of the priests and the Roman rulers very jealous. Jesus knew that they wanted to arrest him and that his life was in danger. Jesus knew it was time for him to return to his Father.
As they sat around the table, he picked up a loaf of bread. After thanking God, Jesus broke the bread and passed a piece to each of them. "This is my body," he said.
Then he took the cup. Again he thanked God and passed it around to his friends. "This is my blood," he said. "I am pouring it out for you. Whenever you break bread and drink from a cup like this, remember me and remember that someday God's dream of everyone sharing and caring, loving and laughing will come true."
Thanks so much to Alice and Eric and Evan Lewis for continuing the story for us. We come now to the time in the story that, for those of us who are part of the Christian tradition, are very familiar with. It's the time that they reached in the Passover celebration where Jesus did a couple of ordinary, customary acts and did them in a very unordinary and extraordinary way. As was just read, Jesus took the elements of bread and cup, and you could say re-envisioned them, expanded their original meanings. And he invited his friends to see the ways that he would embody this part of the Passover celebration. Again, as an expression of sacrificial and unlimited love. Friends, I invite you now to take the elements that you have that will be serving as bread and cup for you. And as we are gathered together, we'll take the elements together. We remember that on that night, Jesus was celebrating Passover and would be betrayed. As was the custom, he took bread and he broke it, blessed it, and gave it to his friends. And he said, "Take and eat. This is my body, broken for you. Do this, always remembering me." There are 4 cups in the Passover celebration. The third cup is the cup of redemption. And while it is not exactly clear which of the first 3 cups Jesus took, because the 4th cup is never to be partaken of, I choose to believe that Jesus took the 3rd cup of redemption, poured it out, and blessed it, and gave it to his friends. And he said, "Take and drink. This cup is the new promise, sealed in my blood, shed for the forgiveness of sin. Take and drink, for I am your redemption. And whenever you do, always remember me." So we remember that whenever we eat this bread and we drink this cup, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we are proclaiming and embodying good news. The death of Jesus brings life. The life of Jesus is available to all. No conditions, no expectations, no exceptions, no restrictions. There is no litmus test that we are required to take in order to partake of this feast of love. Friends, I invite you to take your bread. And as we have the bread together, let us remember that one who came not to be served, but to serve. The one who said, this is the full expression of love, that we serve one another, that we give to one another, that we live with and for one another. This one who is our bread of life and who reminds us that we each are sources of provision, of bread, of life for others. So let's take the bread together, giving thanks, remembering and celebrating Jesus, our bread of life. Now I invite you to take your cups. And as we take these together, we remember the one who said, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. The one who said, you are all my friends. You are all beloved. The one who said, I am the true vine of life, and each of you are branches of that life. You are embodiments of this love. You are full expressions and unique expressions and beautiful, quirky, unrepeatable expressions of this love. You are blessed, not in spite of your brokenness, but with it. You are blessed in the totality of who you are, just as you are. So we take this cup together, remembering and celebrating Jesus, the true vine of life, we who are branches of life. And we say, here's to Jesus, and here's to you. Friends, the story of this week continues through this night into tomorrow, Good Friday. And you're all welcome to continue this journey together with our Good Friday Taizé prayer, celebration, and commemoration tomorrow night, right here on Facebook Live at 6 p.m. As we go into this night, I invite you to hear these words spoken to Jesus, and maybe through the Spirit of Christ, spoken as a prayer and as a wondering and as a pondering from each of us. What must have run through your mind before the rising of the sun? Awakening in anticipation of a celebration turned commemoration. Wrapping towel, washing feet, breaking bread, pouring wine, aching body, sweating blood, fearful friends, drowsing and denying your way to fateful ends, an elocution of universal communion turned execution in scheming confusion and fearful collusion before the rising of the sun. What must have run through your heart? Not pies and skies and sweet by and bys from heaven above, but soily and spirited, sordid and sacred, resurgent and resplendent and redeeming love. As we go into this night musically, may we all go into this night and into tomorrow peacefully and patiently, wonderingly and waitingly. Peace be with us all.